Hi, Shane, you there?
I'm here.
Good. Well, if people don't know you, Shane, if they haven't been around the last couple of weeks, you showed us some great stuff, like how to be an entrepreneur and get a green card from another country, come here and start a business. That's what we covered
Yeah,
last week. Before that, you told us how the government program will tear down your house and build you a new one, and all you have to do is stay there like 5 years. Or really, actually, the neatest thing I think you told so far is the revolving loan fund for entrepreneurs that's available in so many cities and counties and states around the country, that gives low interest loans to businesses that can't get it anywhere.
right.
So now I hear, Shane, that you were one of those guys this past week who evaluates other people's grant proposals for the government, right?
Well, I did. Yes, the governor's office in Texas asked for some people to come down to Austin and grade some grant applications, and so we awarded some money this week.
Ah,
And,
so,
we're going to be talking about what that whole process was like. I think it's important for grant writers to understand what happens on the judging side also.
uh, so now, so what you said, because we talked a little bit on the phone, to set this up, and give the next one, Eric, the next slide, because you said you learned some interesting things about being on the other side of the table, not being only the person that writes the grant, but being the person that hands out the money, right?
Yeah. Well, what was really interesting, there's a couple things that were very interesting to me, is that on this grant, and there's different categories, but it ranged from $80,000 up to $300,000 to beautify a city. And what I found interesting, I thought a lot of people would be applying for this grant, and in each category, there's anywhere between four to eight applications. So the chances that someone would win money is pretty darn high. It's much better than the lottery.
Uh-huh.
So the chances were really good, and a lot of the applications were I was kind of surprised that they were not written by professional grant writers.
They weren't.
Some of them, they were not. They were written by normal people, and there's some ideas that came up, some suggestions that would have made the grading process a lot easier.
Mm-hmm.
For instance, it would ask a question, and instead of it helps the judge if the question is restated and the answer is right underneath it. And so this way, the judge does not have to hunt for the information to make sure that it's all there.
So you're saying that if I'm filling out a grant application, the best thing to do is first of all, copy the question from the application, put that in, and then put the answer to that application right below it. Because I guess what you're saying is you saw a lot of grant applications, and those that did that was easier to give them the money than those that didn't, huh?
Yeah, exactly. Well, the first phase of this is that we just had to figure out if they answered the question. And then if they did answer the question, then it's who answered it best. But you'd be surprised there's a good chunk of them that didn't answer the question. We even had one application that didn't answer any of the questions.
Wow.
And so they didn't qualify for the money.
So you're saying that the competition for writing a grant may not be that great,
Well, that's right. Anywhere from everyone had 25 to 15% chance of winning this money. Because there was not a lot of people to apply, and I think that's how it is for a lot of grants.
Wow.
That a lot of people think that grants are really complicated, and a lot of them are a lot easier than what people think are. But because people think that they're really complicated, they don't apply for the money.
Right.
And so there's a good chance that if you write the application, you answer the questions directly, you can get some money.
Wow. So also you're saying that some of these, you've seen these applications even for the big money, like what you guys, like how big was this application you had?
The category that I judged was accounts between $3,000 to $5,000. I think the money is $120,000.
$120,000. So someone could apply for $125,000, and how big was the application?
6 pages.
6 pages. Yeah. So
right,
it's
right.
not.
And it's all narrative, but really the ones who wrote down the question and would write out the answer, just make it very simple. Here's the question. Here's the answer to it. A paragraph or two. Yeah, you have a much better chance of winning. And about 6 pages was the average.
And how many pages was the average? About
6.
6. So in other words, the finished applications were only about 6 pages long.
Well, yeah, and thinking about this, they were all double spaced too. So we're
So
talking about double.
they sound like me in English class, man. I gotta make this double.
Yeah.
Could I get 2.5 spaces? Yeah, I would make my 6 pages. Yeah, yeah. Well, so that's not heavy lifting. It sounds like to me, to do something
No,
like
not
that.
at all.
Yeah, and so they have people like you that are really determining everybody's future, and you may or may not be an expert in this thing, right?
That's right. I honestly don't know a lot about landscaping, and so more that is written for the common person to read it, the better.
Wow. And how about, gosh, I mean, this is funding now, if I recall, because you showed me a link to it, for people who want to beautify their neighborhood, right? Make their neighborhood look nicer.
Right. Uh-huh.
Right. Actually, we our guest coming on, he's got a nonprofit in town, and he has a wonderful project in town for murals. So, and making the city beautiful and nice and, whatever, and a great project. So it sounds like kind of money he could apply for because he's painting up the town.
Yeah, he might be able to. Now, this one was specific to the state where I'm at.
Right, exactly, yeah.
The Keep America Beautiful is a national program.
Right.
And most states have something like this.
Something. So in other words, this is Department of Transportation money to beautify America. I guess this is back from Lyndon Lady Bird Johnson, right?
Correct. Uh-huh.
She was the start of all that. Yeah, another Texas lady, huh? And so the the federal Department of Transportation gives money to the states to make the cities and towns and a place around the neighborhood look better.
Yes, correct. Yes. And again, the application's not that hard. It's pretty easy, and you got people like me judging it. So
yeah,
it's worth a shot.
So then the bottom line on this is that you probably can write a grant application. I mean, it's the grant writers that are probably trying to scare the pants off you. The number 2 is that, there's not as many people applying for it as you may think there are. And number 3, it could be like you only have to fill out 1 to 6 pages or whatever to hand in. But it sounds like the most important thing that you said is answer the damn questions, right?
Exactly, yes. And the way to make that clear is write out the question in your application and write the answer right below it.
Well, wonderful, Shane. You have any idea for next week yet, or are you going to wing it? We'll talk later on.
All right, we'll do next week in probably economic development.
Okay. Oh, economic development, right. Well, that everybody wants to know that. Everybody wants to start something somewhere.
Yeah, that's right.
Right. Well, wonderful. And don't forget the iGrantApp.com. See Wayne, Shane's app. It's only like $1.50 or what is it now? I know you have sales
I think
on.
It's $1.99.
$1.99. Okay. iGrantApp.com. Thanks, Shane. Take care.
Thank you, Matthew.